We identified a small amount of money that was related to unspent funding during COVID. What we wanted to do with that was to use it partly as a small thank you to primary care for all the work that went on during COVID, but also we wanted to focus on the next big challenge after COVID, which clearly will be much bigger than COVID, and that's climate change. So we wanted this funding to go as far as possible. So we came up with a scheme that was up to £1,500 per practice and allow practices to come up with ideas to spend that money. And so they were essentially small grants to them. And our only criteria really was that the project should benefit patients and the planet in a sustainable way. And also be a benefit to practice staff. So that was the plan, and what people came up with was fantastic, and we were very impressed with the enthusiasm and the inventiveness of the practices, and how much was achieved really with that relatively small amount of money.
It's really important to me to get the message out there, any health benefits or anything that's relating to green projects that I'm really jumping up and down about. So we've had an opportunity within our practice to get some e-bikes.
We felt that we had a great opportunity to start executing our home visits, patient visits via e-bike as an alternative to car travel.
So we're predominantly going to be using it for our clinical staff to go on home visits, and that's the aim of getting the GPs away from the coalface really. They're on the computers quite a lot now. There's a lot of admin work in general practice, and so it's quite refreshing for them to be able to come off of their computers and go out on a bike to visit the patients without putting too much effort in.
Just about with it is this increased awareness that it's created, and it's not an increased awareness purely about riding a bike. It's been perhaps about thinking about alternative ways of getting about and our lifestyle whilst we're at work. And so that my main barrier and my main concern with this really was the liability as a practice. Employees would be using the bike, but very simple fix in terms of communication with our insurance provider. That's been fine, and just getting that confirmation that it would be provided, and that's been at no extra cost to us. The other thing as well to consider is e-bikes actually need to be serviced, and they need to be serviced by professionals, a bit like a car. And I have a ongoing service agreement with the company we bought the bike from that will allow us to do that, and that's written into our risk assessments as a practice, which just provides that little bit more assurance for us. We haven't got an awful lot of space at Perranporth surgery, unfortunately, so as a result I keep my bike with me here for the guys to pick up the news. So it's in people's faces, which is quite nice. So people see it, they're interested, and that touches people from outside the practice, which is nice. Sometimes I meet patients in here and they see the bike and question what's that. So nice to be able to talk about it actually.
We need competency forms to make sure that all of our people that are using the e-bikes are safe to do so. So it's really important that we've got some helmets and some high-vis jackets for everybody to make sure that they feel safe when they're going out. They also have to have a full UK driving licence to have an e-bike, and if they don't, then it's recommended they go on the bikeability.org website and do like an assessment process to just ensure that they will be safe on the road.
We're pacing about 14 miles a week, and that actually is from a lower amount of bike use but over longer journeys, which I wasn't expecting. I thought that the clinicians would choose to use it when it was a nearer visit, something they could quickly do, but they're choosing it for outlying visits, which is quite interesting actually. So it's almost like a lifestyle choice to go out and use a bike for a little bit longer, be able to do it. So again, there's the indirect impact of their own well-being to be able to do that. So over the year, that alone would save 1/3 of the turn of carbon emissions. I expect that to increase as the uptake of clinicians improves, as the weather improves, and potentially as people start taking more bikes on themselves. it's quite a challenging time actually, and at the moment for us, and in terms of the welfare of staff, it's particularly challenging. People are very worried about money. As GP practices, we're working under the same contract we're working under 5 years ago, so we can't provide benefit necessarily in that way. It's nice to be able to have energy in something which is proactive, is nice, and it helps. And it's not just about the welfare of the staff, actually it's my welfare. It's nice to think and do something which is a little bit different.
Because our medical students that are based here because of the train station, and so they don't come to us with cars, so they don't end up going on home visits. So this is a really good opportunity for our clinicians to go out and see patients on their own and give them the confidence that actually they can get there and back. And not have to worry or wait for one of our GPs to necessarily transport them there. So this is a win-win for us in terms for our medical students. So really, really chuffed about that.
A number of clinicians have started running to work in the morning. The main barrier has been cars for home visits, so it's meant they've been able to do that themselves, which again would have welfare issues themselves, which is fantastic.
This is Dr. Hayward, and on our e-bike after coming back from a visit. So there's a couple of things that we're going to be doing, and some that we still need to put in place. And then above all, really, is to enjoy it. So take the most of it and pop outside and get the fresh air.
We were very excited to receive the go-ahead for the funding from Public Health to both create a green seating area for patients outside the main entrance, and also look at improving some bike storage for our staff as well. And obviously we wanted to make it a nice place for people to sit and maybe connect with nature, even if it's on a kind of micro level, really, because we know that that's positive for people's mental health, and it's also good, to make a little nature corridor for wildlife, little mini beasts and things, to get around our site as well, because it is actually quite a green site, but because of the layout we don't have a lot of space that's accessible, so bringing that closer to the patients was something that we were trying to do. And this is the final setup. So we've got 2 benches and we've got 4 of these large planters, absolutely full of all sorts of different herbs and berries and fragrant plants like lavender. Hopefully when the plants grow up a bit, people will be able to come and snip a little bit. And I put a few little signs there sort of saying what they were, and I've left all the planting labels so people will be able to identify the plants. So if they think, oh, what is that? I'll take some of that. All the information's there for them so they can have a look. And already people are sort of planning on their strategies for maximising the strawberry harvests. People say, oh, those plants smell really nice. We can talk about how that can be positive for people's mental health. Also importance of the biodiversity and, the flowering plants. We've got lots of lavender in there. So hopefully when that flowers, we can talk about the importance of pollinators and wildlife corridors, and inspire other people that maybe don't have a lot of space to get planting.
Neat Sides project up in Bude, and what they wanted to do is to create an outside peace space. Would be to help the patients with relaxation, get them outside to increase vitamin D levels, and also with relaxation to help with their blood pressure. It was also hoped that it would increase biodiversity around the practice. It was also hoped that patients would get involved with the development and upkeep of the garden, leading in itself to social benefits and improved mental health and well-being. We had some really great feedback from Melanie. She said it's already looking lovely, such an improvement on a previously redundant site. She said, I'm hoping anyone sitting there will be able to take 10 minutes out of a day and relax, and I know that the hope is that's going to be staff as well as patients. She said, I'm very glad we found the time to do this. It will hopefully put a smile on people's faces. I love our little peace garden. The final message she sent yesterday with the pictures was, I think you've started something now. All the team love the garden and are itching to get out there helping to keep it up.
what we're doing with our money is we're creating a sort of more of a garden space out the back of the surgery, largely really for the staff to enjoy. We have a really high turnover of our admin staff too, and obviously we need a strong admin team to support the work that we do. And so we feel that if we can create a nicer space out there, then it would benefit them, as well as, improving the biodiversity. It would also benefit them for their sort of mental health, and hopefully retain the workforce a little bit. But we've got a plan in place, and we should have, I am hoping by the end of this month we'll have things set up and growing. We've been in touch with the Nuki Orchard again this time to get some advice about sourcing local soil and compost, and just sort of to get a bit more advice with regards to what we're going to be planting.
So I'm a social prescribing link worker at Rosen Surgeries, and through the Greener Practice programme and links we had, came across the opportunity to apply for a grant, and it seemed perfect with the development of the Rosen Centre, which they'll explain in a moment. A great opportunity for the community and for the patients within the community to develop some sort of community garden.
The grounds, after 6 years neglect, we're very overgrown with couch grass, which is very nasty, brambles, nettles, and it was covered in the debris from the 2 dead trees by the gate. We trimmed it and began taming it down with clippers till the brambles and things were reduced to about 6 inches.
Nicola Zana was the local garden expert who was invited to advise on the creation of the community garden in what was the very overgrown grounds. Nicola suggested a permaculture garden would be a good idea, enabled to grow vegetables, flowers intensively, and showpiece different methods of cultivation like raised beds with reservoirs, cascading vertical growing areas, a hugel bed, a normal bed creating perennial flower area for beauty and insects, and a bug hotel and a wormery. The current design enables a broad community interest and longevity of process due to the wide permaculture models, ideas and methods that have already been created. These methods could provide food for local use, and specifically for the centre itself, residentials and day visits, etc., etc. There will be a seating area for gardeners to rest, sort seedlings. The main paths would be accessible, which is key, to wheelchairs in most places. The 2 dead alders at the side of the main gate were left as tall stumps to leave as much habitat as possible, and perhaps even to provide a place for a bench or used as posts for signs. These tall stumps could even be carved into leaping dolphins, chainsaw art, or other kinds of tree art.
You can see how we're not using the whole of the grounds, just about a third of what used to be a lawn, and we laid out the bedding plans with sticks and things like that, so that we began to get an idea of what we were really doing.
I think, as well as the repurposed containers as well there that have been donated from somewhere. I think
we're really trying to use everything that might have been thrown away otherwise. So you can see the ground nicely cleared. We've now covered that all in cardboard to try and keep the weeds and brambles from coming back. You've got a raised bed that we bought in, and we hope to use that then as a pattern for other raised beds that we can make on the grounds.
So the whole aim, I suppose, as well as having a fantastic space for the Rosen Centre, is sort of to bring the community and patients together in sort of meaningful activity outside in the garden, to promote health and wellbeing and learning. So we're sharing information through Facebook pages for the centre, and I've got a social prescribing Facebook page now, posters up in the surgeries and various things. We've also got Anthony, who's kindly come to just explain why he's joined in. Can you see him? Can you see him there?
Yeah.
That's it.
Hi, Anthony.
Yeah. Hello. Yes, it seems that it's a very attractive thing. I think that once I got over the initial hurdles with should I or should I not participate with it, I began to become a little bit more stronger in deciding that it was good for me, and I sort of started, and it became really quite real for me, because I began to realize that most of my life I've been doing a practical work, and I use my hands a lot more than, well, most people. So I was sort of not actually coping 100% during the last 3 years with this COVID thing. And I began to realize that what I needed was to feel that I'm contributing something, that I'm actually being able to take part, be involved, participate, and gradually I'm beginning to feel that I'm part of a team, a necessary part of the whole, of getting this sort of enthusiastic reality strong enough to realize that it's doing me good and doing the community good and doing life good. And this permaculture garden seems to be an ideal way for me to contribute something, because I think that people and life in general needs to contribute and take part and form their little biodiversity, little empires, so that they can help other things and life in general and be a productive, not only human being, but part of life. And for me, it's just a starting point to begin to realize my potential.
Used Newquay Orchard, and Newquay Orchard is a community interest company that's based in Newquay, but it also has set up a farm at Ruthvoice, which is actually in the Petrock Group Practice catchment area, and it's probably one of the most deprived sections of our PCN. And it's a 2-acre site which is going to be expanded over the next couple of years to 4 acres. So with the work that we've done with our health coaches already with our diabetic patients, both our pre-diabetics and our newly diagnosed and more long-term kind of difficult to gain any impact patients, that by altering their diet we can massively improve their diabetes outcomes and their diabetes metrics, but also in some cases completely reverse their type 2 diabetes. And for some patients this has been absolutely a life-changing approach. This will be for 12 patients, and they receive a weekly veg bag from Newquay Orchard, but it's more than just that. They receive a newsletter each month giving them some updates of what's been happening on the farm, what they can expect in their veg bag that week, some tips and hints on how to cook it and prepare it, and a recipe card. And I know this week's recipe is for potato and pointed cabbage soup. Really simple, straightforward, easy things to do. You don't need any skills, you don't need a lot of cupboard ingredients, and they can be prepared without a lot of energy use. But already we've had fantastic feedback from the patients. So for instance, one of them said, last week was great, I used it all on the 4 days, and they're using it in salads, stir fries, making shakes from it. They're roasting the whole vegetables, so everything from the cauliflower gets roasted. There's no waste, and we waste a huge amount of food every year, and it's a huge carbon footprint, and it's a lot of people could be fed with all that food waste. So it's really important that people can see that they can use everything. It's hugely life-changing for people, but we need to get those stories out there that you don't necessarily need the doctor to give you a tablet to make your life better. Most people have got the tools, they just need a little bit of support to get them on the right path again.
So we know that planetary health and human health are fundamentally intertwined, and we know that what we eat, the air we breathe, the soil we grow our food in, the pollinators we cohabit with are all crucial for human health. We also know that working together outside and creating something beautiful and productive is really good for our mental health. And we know that the best way to tackle biodiversity and climate anxiety is to take action. And the best way to help staff feel valued in a really difficult job is to create somewhere where they can grow something beautiful and productive and feel as if they are contributing positively. So supporting, finding, building and creating green spaces, peace places, green waiting rooms, growing spaces bring a wheelbarrow full of co-benefits for staff, for patients, for community cohesion, social capital, for water management, for carbon sequestration, environmental growth and habitat creation, for food skills, dietary understanding, knowledge and confidence, all of those health conditions around cardiovascular and cardiorespiratory health, diabetes, musculoskeletal conditions, All of those are benefited by being able to get outside and get involved in growing something that's either beautiful to look at or really good for us to eat. And that takes us right back to planetary health and human health being fundamentally the same thing. One of the community members who got involved in one of the gardens that Roseland Practice developed said, "Can I just say that yesterday I saw a bee and I began to realise that that's a productive thing, not just for itself, but for the flowers, and it's able to enjoy what it's doing." I think human beings should take an example from that and realise that it's not only themselves, it's everything else, and we are a part of everything else, but we just forgot. I think that nails it.
Had an initial thought that we would like to buy some insulated cups for our staff. A few reasons really, to try and reduce the amount of kettle turn on and offs, and also it for maybe for a staff morale as well. So we looked around locally and we found a company based in Newquay that produced bamboo insulated mugs, of which I have one on show here, and we placed a bid and we're really grateful to have received funding, but we're actually completely astonished because we were given more funding than we had asked for, and asked if we could perhaps buy more of these and distribute them to our local warm spaces. So we have a really good connection with Finn, who works at the old library cafe in Bodmin, one of our warmer spaces, and we contacted him and he was really keen to help us with this project. So we had 200 of these mugs made, 100 for our staff, and apparently the management team have never seen anyone rush up and gather their equipment as excitedly as our staff did. So they all have their mugs. They've all had special sticky labels made with names on, so that no one fights over who has which mug, and they're all used all the time in the surgery. So that's lovely. But also we gave 100 to Finn, and Finn has distributed those locally. So he's given some to the community larder, some have gone to our wellbeing hub, Cuppa Companions, the Stay and Play group, and the Knit and Natter participants. And they had a Facebook page saying thank you very much to Bosvenna Health, and the feedback from Finn is that they were gratefully received and seemed to go down really well. So we're really grateful. Thank you very much.
Funding for my project was to purchase environmentally friendly bags to enable people who are of no fixed abode to keep their medication dry and safe. With a view to all practice taking up this project, it contributes to patient health, reduces waste, reduces diffused pollution as medications are damaged, discarded or lost in poor weather. The patient population involved are street homeless, in sheltered accommodation, are sofa surfing or have no fixed abode in Cornwall. We have tried as a practice to distribute powder inhalers to patients in line with environmentally friendly NHS guidelines. But a lot of our patients say that they are unable to use these due to the units getting wet, therefore rendering the powder useless, giving us no choice but to prescribe aerosol inhalers. Other medications are also subject to damp if not stored properly. By providing our patient group with waterproof, environmentally friendly, resealable bags made from recycled materials means that all medication can be kept in one place for the patient. The distribution of these bags means that our practice will be able to prescribe powder inhalers, which as per NHS eco-friendly guidelines can have a huge impact on the environment, particularly for our niche patient group, and lessening the use of aerosol inhalers. Although Health for Homeless are not in a PCN due to being under the CFT, it will hopefully encourage other PCNs across the county with homeless patients registered to their practices who need powder inhalers and other medications to use a waterproof bag made of recycled materials. I found a little company based further up the line called Eco. I have the bag here, my little bag. So this is an A5 size. We checked it with a powder inhaler. I asked for samples to be sent, which was really good because they offered a range of different recycled material goods, and some were kind of, you know, like flimsy poly pockets, some were plastic pockets that are made for recycled materials but were tear quite easily, so we needed something really quite tough and durable, particularly for the climate that our clients live in. So this is a reinforced plastic. It's made from recycled material and it is recyclable. So it has two pockets. So in one side you could have your powder medication, and the other side it can have blister packs or a paper prescription, so that is all kept in one place, and it's safe. It can be kept in an inside pocket, like a poacher's pocket, which is a lot of what our homeless guys wear. They'll wear big coats with big pockets close to the skin. It has got 2 zips with cords on, which again could be put around a lanyard, which can be worn close to the body if they needed it to be, or kept in a rucksack. Here we've got, it says it's 100% recyclable, waterproof, it's reinforced, it's extra strong, made from 90% recycled materials. There have been a couple of patients, one in particular, which was a really, really good news story, who has actually gone back onto a powder inhaler because he has got his bag. He absolutely loves it. He's kept it with him and he's really, really super impressed with it. A couple of the other guys who have got theirs really love them and they've kept hold of them. So far, the story's been good.
You know, at the beginning when you said, you know, you're not part of the PCM, but you hope that this can, you know, sort of roll out to other areas. The practices that I've told about this, they are so keen to like try and do something themselves. So they are talking about, you know, next time there's a funding application that comes up, they would hopefully look at doing that as well. So you've really got something going there.
And I guess one of the things that we've really picked up on since we've been here is kind of high levels of school refusal, lots of appointments, and a large kind of proportion of that was due to anxiety around periods. And actually, when we look kind of more widely, this is a big problem. So I guess, yeah, just kind of random statistics, like 64% of girls in school in the UK have missed school at some point due to period problems. So thinking that actually this is probably quite a big problem. And also thinking about, the environmental stuff. So, you know, tampons and pads generate lots and lots of waste every year, and lots of them contain plastics. Marine species eat them, those sorts of things. So I guess we were kind of bringing together the kind of two of those things, and that's how kind of we came about to apply for the funding. And once we got the funding, then we got in contact. Our idea was to kind of make reusable period products accessible to lots of people at the practice. So after we got the funding, we got in contact with a local refill shop owner. So she stocks of kind of refill products, but part of that is her stocking different kind of period products. We kind of met with her a couple of times and thought about what might be helpful in terms of serving the population that we see. So we agreed to get some reusable menstrual cups from her and also some pants from her. And then we thought we also want to kind of make, I guess we wanted to have a variety of different products. So we thought about having pads as well, reusable pads. But we thought we've got, so my supervisor knows somebody who has kind of made their own sort of pads. So we got a sample pad from her and we got some patterns, and we wanted to kind of get the local community involved as well. So have made contact with lots of different groups, I guess, in the community, lots of sewing groups. We asked the college as well, we asked WI groups, we asked U3A groups, they had a pins and patchwork groups, but none of them were kind of coming back with thinking that this project would be appropriate for them. So we kind of hit a bit of a brick wall really. But more recently we've had some interest from Girl Guiding. So they've actually got a period poverty badge. So we're hoping to get them involved in helping us make the kind of reusable pads. But we do have the cups and the the pants, which is great. And the idea is, I guess, we're going to try and make them available to anybody that needs them when they come into the practice. It'll probably be through a consultation with somebody that works here, and then the idea is that they'll be as accessible to those people.
Probably this is a survey from Narrowcliffe, and I've done it for 2 or 3 other surgeries, and they all look very similar. And as you can see, 90% of people driving. And again, this all then comes down to, well, how do we get this better, and how do we improve upon this? Get this big blue circle a little less blue by getting more people using more active forms of travel to get into the surgery. In a number of different sites I know, but also down here in Penzance was the idea of creating, and this is a sort of prototype of it, a very large scale map for display in the waiting room in our surgery, highlighting to people ways that they can walk in and around the local area, but also use public transport and also use cycle routes and things like that to get to and from the surgery.
We've had a wonderful gentleman do a travel map for us, and on this travel map is just absolutely phenomenal, just showing the points of interest in our area. We're proud to be close to the Eden Project. That's probably what St Blazey's mainly known for now. We've got the railway, we've got the duck pond, there's Par Track.
This is what the map looks like for Oak Tree Surgery. This is the Pensilva Health Centre map. I think it's looking great. With the display, the idea of this map is we're going to digitalise it. So it's going to be on the website, it's going to be on a newsletter, it's going to be on social media. We're hoping to attach hyperlinks to the icons, also have it on your phone. And the idea is that it's going to be accessible to all and easy to use, hopefully.
And I'm actually a local girl to the practice, so it's really important to me to get the message out there, any health benefits or anything that's relating to green projects that I'm really jumping up and down about.
But just generally, there's been a lot of chatter about it and a lot of positive feedback. Everyone's really pleased and feel that it's a really positive thing for our patients, and shows that we care, and also has sparked that enthusiasm for people to talk about the importance of connecting with nature, and hopefully it's going to have a bit of a snowball effect. And
yesterday I saw a bee, and I began to realise that was a productive thing that is beneficial not only for itself and the flowers, because it takes in sugar and it's able to enjoy what it's doing, but it's also pollinating the plant, which is good for the plants, and it's also producing honey, which is good for the nursery. And I think that human beings should take an example from that and realise that it's not only themselves, it's everything else. And we are a part of everything else, but we've just forgotten that we are.